It took me a while to think of the last event that really shaped the course of my life. I mean, really, how often does a noticeable moment shape the way you think and radically transform your way of being? After some time spent thinking, an image popped into my head. I was brought back to a moment, and I remembered this moment because of a note that I've carried in my wallet for some time now. Um, I've always carried it in this pocket right here. And here's the moment I was brought back to. It was the perfect temperature. The sun was beginning to fall into the mountains, and wispy clouds were drifting over our heads. The sunlight was golden, and reflections sparkled off the wet stones. I sat with patience in a red uniform, with a whistle around my neck. Next to me was an older man, dressed in plaid, a quiet old man whose words carried importance. Some people speak to hear themselves, while others speak and are heard. The man turned to me and radiated an expression. His face spoke to me, conveying a story of age and compassion. His eyes were calm, and his voice was distinct. "You are a beautiful young man," he said. I smiled, naturally, and thanked him. His next words had relevance to Jesus Christ. Being young and naive, I looked at him respectfully, but thought to myself, whatever, man, I'm not religious. But as he continued to talk, I began to see that something deeply spiritual was happening in our encounter. He was not obsessing over the Almighty Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. In fact, he only said Jesus once. His words conveyed a fatherly lesson, and his eyes changed shape. He looked at me with compassion and wished only that I would understand. This is what he said: I have lived all around the world, from Europe to Germany to Serbia, Canada, and the United States. I am a rich man. God has given me many gifts. Listen, do not worry about money. Do God's work and God will provide for you. Put your efforts toward Him and trust in Him. The rest will work itself out. Inspiration flooded my thoughts and I didn't know what to say. I looked at this brother in awe. He said this with an unparalleled confidence. He was living the words that he spoke. My father pulled up next to us in a small green car, his small green car. And taking a moment to gather my thoughts, I thanked the old man. I walked with a new energy in my being. I sat down in the car and looked at the old man sitting, full of content. He stood up and walked over to my father's window. My dad does not trust anyone and would rarely roll down his window to start a conversation with a stranger. But in this moment, he did just that. He smiled at the old man, and the old man smiled back at him. The old man said only a few words. He said, "You have a very spiritual son. You should be proud." My dad took this kindly and laughed. He thanked the old man, and we drove away. As I remember these moments, I'm able to think back to a simpler time. I took the time to write these events down so that I would always be reminded of this message. I carry this note in my wallet all the time, but I seldom look at it. As I reread it now, I can remember more and more of what happened that day, and it inspires me. This was a pivotal life moment because it taught me that angels are amongst us. Goodness lives through us. I now imagine what I will be like when I am his age. I will be someday. His advice has had a tremendous impact on my life. It has shaped the way I live. I can admit that I do not follow his advice wholeheartedly. I'm not always fulfilling the work of God by helping those in need. However, I am now more in tune with my purpose. My purpose is not to have copious amounts of money. My purpose is to help myself by helping others. God will provide me with the wealth, be it mental, spiritual, bodily, material, so long as I am fulfilling His work. I believe in this wholeheartedly. Thank you.